Okay, hello again, everyone. For those of you who are just joining us, my name is Lauren Giacenti. I'm a Customer Success Manager here at Growbots. Today we're going to be going over how to write a killer email campaign. So thank you all for joining today. We're thrilled to have you here. As mentioned in the questions section, if anybody has any questions as I'm going through our presentation today, please do not hesitate to reach out and let me know. I'm more than happy to answer questions, and if there's any questions that I can't get to, I will be happy to follow up with you. You can email us at customers@growbots.com, and I can reach out to you as well towards after the call. So thank you for joining us, and let's go ahead and begin. So as mentioned, today we are going to be going over how to write a killer email campaign. We plan to review the campaign structure and general tips, writing the campaign, going over customizations and how to handle replies, and then as long as we have time for it, we'll have your questions at the end of the call. So what is the campaign structure? Campaign structure is set up from a few basic steps. The first would be your first email. So the follow-ups are the follow-up emails to your introductory email. A breakup email, which is essentially saying, hey, I reached out to you. I understand you probably don't want to communicate. It's okay. And then the last is recycling, or as some people might know, re-engagement campaigns. So first off, we have a couple of general tips. The first thing you should always consider when developing your campaign is the goal of your message. And the goal of your message should not be to sell your product or service in that particular moment, but rather to schedule a call or generate curiosity about your product and services. You should really be focused with your goal on presenting the benefits of your product, not focusing necessarily on the feature. People nowadays really don't have time to read these really long emails. Usually they typically skim through them. So you want to focus on keeping your messages short, with emails somewhere between 300 and 600 characters for best performance. Additionally, you're going to want to make sure that you adjust the content to the message based on your ideal customer profile. So if you've attended one of our previous webinars for getting started with Growbots, we talk a little bit about the ideal customer profile there and what really constitutes your best customer. If you have questions about the ideal customer profile, feel free to message me and I can go over that in more detail later. You also want to make sure that you're using a casual tone. Make it feel personal, like you're writing to them as someone who's already met them, already knows them, and has some common grounds. You don't want to come off as too salesy. You don't want to come off as pushy either. Additionally, you want to use some bullet points and keywords. So it's always really recommended to keep things succinct and easy and digestible, or skimmable is another way to put it. For your subject line, there's a couple of things that you're going to want to think about. Number one, it's the first thing that a prospect sees when they look in their inbox. So it should be something that's engaging. 64% of people open their emails because of the subject line. So that's a really powerful tool right there. Remember, the subject line should really grab their attention. You should keep it short, 4 words maximum. So that way it's visible and it's easy to see in their inbox. It's best to make it as personal as possible, and usually customize it with something like the recipient's name or their company. Statistics show that emails with personalized subject lines are 22% more likely to be open, and subject lines with fewer than 10 characters have a 58% chance for an open rate. Here's some great examples of subject lines that are do's and don'ts. So the first you can see are the from name with Greg, one of our founders, and then the subject line, the first name and company name. Same thing with the second email. We're just referencing Growbots or Greg as in the third example, which is relating it back to our company. However, if you look at the bad example, you'll see that these 4 simple words will help you. Or it's a little bit of a pitch, it's a little bit more salesy, or even asking, let me ask you a quick question. People don't want to be bothered with information that they don't feel is personalized to them. So pushing any sort of sales tactic right off the bat in your inbox is less likely going to be to allow you to reach out to somebody. Next up, we're going to look at your opening line. So you have an A+ subject line. Now its next is to give them an opening line that is a crucial part where you really need to create the value. The goal, as mentioned, is to win their trust, to make it interesting and relevant to them, to find common ground with the prospect, which you should already have a little bit of an idea based on what your common ground is going to be with the goal of your campaign that you decided on before you started, and then also to still use that conversational tone. 24% of people, when they look at the preview, decide whether or not they're going to open this email. So it's incredibly important to keep it in something that's going to catch their attention, make them feel like they already know you, and continue to read the rest of the message. So here's some examples of great opening lines. Quick email to a fellow, and this is relating to them on the maybe a relevant position, and referencing their company as well. So you see two different options for personalization. An example of something that would not be as great is to instantly go to your pitch, instantly tell who Growbots is or your company is, why you matter, and what you offer. You haven't engaged these people enough to make them feel relevant to you, so that's why you're going to see a problem with trying to throw out a sales pitch right away. People love to feel related. People love to feel like you're talking specifically to them. And if you go into a pitch, it doesn't feel genuine, it doesn't feel individual, and it feels like they're just getting a mass marketing email. A couple of quick starters are I saw you, a quick question to a fellow, or we are both. These are all very positive, inclusive terms that people might realize bring you to a shared level and something that you have in common. Speaking of pitch, now is the part where you really get to talk to these people. So you have a great subject line, you have a great opening line, you put them in, now you want to tell them why they should listen to you. So the most important things here are to focus on the benefits, not the features. This is something that we talk about a lot at Growbots. Benefits are different from features. Features are a list of services or bullet points, essentially, your elevator pitch about what's so great about your product. Benefits are more looking at it from the potential customer side. So talking about why it matters to them. You should really make sure that this is fairly seamless. So don't cause a discrepancy between your opening line where you connected with the prospect on a personal level and the benefits. You want to make sure that the benefits apply to the person you're speaking with. Use the second person. We found you, connecting with your potential customers. And also don't be scared to show a few numbers. If you have some really great statistics that you'd like to share with everybody, don't hesitate to put them out there. And just remember, benefits are addressing a specific need. What is the problem that your potential customers have that you're trying to solve? And if you focus on that, you should be great. So here's a couple of good examples of a pitch. So I'm asking, because we have found a way of connecting you with your potential customers and filling up your sales funnel. So right here off the bat, you're talking about a very common need for most all businesses, which is to find customers, to connect with those customers, and then to help them sell to those customers. A couple of not so great examples. I'd like to speak with you about lead generation. It's very passive, it's not affirmative, and it's talking about features. And you're not even giving them the chance to understand what offer that you might have for them that they could feel best with. So, if you're not the best person for this, can you direct me to? You're not even giving them the chance to address whether or not they would be the person, because you're not giving them the opportunity to assess your software or service. Next important thing is your call to action. Call to actions are incredibly important in the sense of it's driving that end result that you want from your potential customer. So be specific. Don't be scared to be very direct. Can I call you at Friday at 10 a.m.? Can you or someone in your team have 15 minutes this week to receive a demo? Customers like to be told what to do, when to do it, and make it easy for them to do. So only do one call to action. Make sure that you're sharing this opportunity with your potential customers, but you're sharing it in the easiest way possible. A link to Calendly or a link to your website is a great way to make that call to action simple. And then lastly, don't forget about your unsubscribe link. So if somebody doesn't want to speak to you, you should absolutely give them the chance to unsubscribe and to no longer speak with you. It actually gives a lot of authority when you give people the option to opt out. A lot of people think by including an opt-out feature, they might hurt the response or their reply rate. But in reality, if you share the unsubscribe option, it tells this person, look, I think that this is a match, but maybe you don't. So it's okay if you're not going to want to talk to you. Okay. And I did just have one quick question come in here. Will this recording or deck be available post-webinar? From Anna, thank you. Yes, we are planning to make this available. I don't know if this exact webinar will be available post-call, but we do have plans to get this up on the website pretty soon so everyone can share it. So the last element besides your for your initial message, besides the footer, besides the unsubscribe, is your footer and your PS. This is one of the most commonly overlooked opportunities to share some last little bit of information or some sort of last little connection opportunity. So as you can see in the two good examples here, we have a link to book a demo, and we also just have another option of if you want to schedule time with us right away, here's a link to our calendar or a link to an infographic. So surprisingly, many people read the PS, and it's a great place to link to a one-pager where you can still add a little bit more of a sales aspect without actually putting too much information into the body of the message. Okay, I believe there is another question. Okay. From Todd. Todd, did you have a question while we're going along here? Okay, we're going to go ahead and continue then. So the next important thing to talk about is your follow-ups. So if you look at the graph that's attached here, you can see the percentage of follow-ups by email. So if you stop sending messages after your first message, you're leaving half of your warm leads on the table. So while a majority of your follow-ups your warm leads are going to occur within the first follow-up, if by the second, you're already losing 25% of your potential warm leads if you do not include a second email. This is really why we kind of hone in on the fact that you really should have multiple emails in your campaign. At minimum, we recommend 3 emails. 4 emails is perfect to include a breakup email. So within your first follow-up, you should consider some things such as a quick question. Just something potentially like, did you receive my first message? The second is really going to be kind of your opportunity to really show them the longer approach, which is, how excuse me, here are some case studies, here's some fun facts, include social proof as we mentioned. Just like in your first email, you shouldn't be hesitant to include something along the lines of statistics or maybe a case study that you shared. Feel free to include that here as well. Just reiterating what the value is that you're adding to this potential customer. And your third follow-up should be, again, another quick reminder, maybe a piece of additional information, and add a link maybe to a case study. Always include a call to action in every follow-up as well. So some short follow-ups examples here are, have you received my message? P.S. Here's an infographic. Another would be another follow-up with a call to action of, hey, let's talk on Monday. The third is an example that we use sometimes here at Growbots, which is to make it look like it's coming from your mobile. So include something like sent from my iPhone, a very brief signature, something that's very simple and succinct. There's also the long approach, which you can use in your follow-ups, which is a bit more wordy, and it's definitely should be used in conjunction with your short approach. But with the long approach, here's a good example of sharing some more information. So this would be something that isn't necessarily your first follow-up, but further along in the series. So saying something like, I fully understand that I'm not your top priority. However, here are some key points that you should share I would like to share with you to further prove the value. Just note that it has the 3 main points that we always talk about. The connection, which is I've already emailed you. Some bullet points about why you are could be beneficial to this potential customer. And then lastly, the call to action at the bottom of the email, which is really going to drive that follow-up. The last email in your series is going to be the breakup email. So more or less, this is just explaining, I understand that you're not necessarily the person to talk to. I'm giving you one more chance. If you'd like to follow up with me, that would be great. Breakup emails are, once again, just like your unsubscribe link. It's a great opportunity for you to connect with somebody and give them the authority. It gives you more authority by giving them the opportunity to opt out. Some of the examples we have here are, okay, I understand you're not available. I'll just assume this is not a priority for you. If you could just let me know that you're not interested, that's great. But if you do want to connect, that's also, a wonderful opportunity as well. So just keeping the dialogue open, but giving them the chance to close it as well is usually what makes up the best of a breakup email. Here's an example of the follow-ups with the frequency and how to go into the recycling mode, as we mentioned. So the first email should go out, and then after 3 days, up to 3 days, your first follow-up. 5 days after, your second. After 7 days is your third, which is that breakup email. Now, going into the recycling or re-engagement program, you can see after 3 to 4 weeks, you should follow up in a new thread. So start a brand new series of emails. Send a fifth follow-up after 5 days, and then after another 7 days, send your sixth follow-up. And again, you can use a healthy method, versions of the short versus long. It's fine to integrate the two. Just make sure not all of your emails are long, and also don't be scared to make not all of them short as well. Some people do like to read. So one thing I wanted to show you here is on which days should you be sending your message. So you can look at the charts here, which show Tuesday through Thursday are going to be your peak opportunities to send. And the time of day is usually your peak is right around 7 a.m. However, if you haven't familiarized yourself with it, I want to show you our Growbots timing optimizer. Let me go ahead and open that. Apologies. So this is our Growbots timing optimizer. Let me make sure you guys can see that okay. So the Growbots timing optimizer is available for free for anybody to use. And what it allows you to do is select who you're going to be contacting, if they're within a specific industry, the years that they were founded, so the age of the company, the size of the company, and the time zone. So for example, if I wanted to reach out to CEOs in the technology sector that were formed after 2010, maybe they're a large company, over 1,000 employees, and they are in the Eastern time zone. It's going to go ahead and generate this and tell us exactly what our best option is. So as you can see here, our peak time would be to send around 9 a.m. on Thursdays. You could also send on Fridays around 9 a.m. So in general, it seems around 9 a.m. is going to be your best times, and Thursday is going to be the peak send day to get the optimal response rate. So if anybody would like to access this, it's simply growbots.com/optimizer. So advanced customization is one of the best ways to go ahead and really amp up your cadence. So this would be something such as referral strategy. Write a cadence starting with who is the right person to talk about. Consider creating your own custom fields, which is a wonderful opportunity for our tool to include advanced personalization. So if you need more details on how to export your prospects and import custom fields, don't hesitate to reach out to us. We're more than happy to assist. And then also A/B testing, which we will be having a new resource about A/B testing in the future, but it doesn't hurt to test everything and compare your results. Don't be scared to test a theory and see if it's right. Using a large sample size is usually your best option for the A/B test, and it really helps you kind of give some statistically significant data. So handling replies. Handling your replies is really where you kind of close the deal. So reply to every message. If somebody's really upset with you, you don't have to reply to those. But every other, somebody who says, well, we're not sure if this is the right time, feel free to reply to them and say, that's okay. When would be a good time? Reply as soon as possible. You want to connect with that person when it's still warm, when that person is still interested and you are at the forefront of mind. Address every question or doubt that they might have, even if some of the answers are, no, we cannot do that. If you acknowledge it and you address it, your customers are more likely to engage with you and consider you an authority and trustworthy. And then lastly, if a reply after you address the adult, if they don't reply after you've addressed a concern, most likely you haven't resolved that concern. So you need to ask them, a follow-up question. Did this answer your question, or do you have further questions? So speaking of questions, it's time for your questions. We have about uh, we have about 5 minutes left in the scheduled time. So I see a question here from Melissa. The schedule stops when you get a reply. That is correct. Yes, Melissa, if you have a cadence that's deploying when somebody replies, it automatically stops the cadence from sending more emails. So Justin has the question of, is there a particular reason re-engagements should go out 3 to 4 weeks later? Is there any data supporting that is a good length of time to wait? I can follow up on the data part portion for you, but this was just based on us analyzing data over time and looking at our customers who sent and when they sent follow-up campaigns. Typically, you don't want to send too far out, so 4 weeks is about a month. If I sent a series of 4 emails and then I waited a year, that person is most likely not even going to remember that I sent the initial emails. So it's just about finding the right balance. So if you're working with a lot of leads and you're getting a lot of warm leads, then a re-engagement campaign could be pushed out a little bit longer, maybe 2 to 3 months. But most likely 4 weeks, you're still going to possibly be at top of mind, and the person might be interested in responding. Okay, were there any additional questions? Anna has the question of what does an ideal sample size look like? Sample sizes aren't sample size relatives. Um, they are relative to the potential size you're sending to. So for example, if you're trying to send 500 emails, you wouldn't necessarily want to send to 400 to do an A/B test. However, you've got to look at things statistically. So I never use less than 20% of my sample size, of my sample data or my prospects for who I would want to communicate with. So if I was going to send to 1,000, I wouldn't want to send to less than 200 for my A/B test. That being said, I'm also a big fan of doing an A/B test with the full 50-50. So let's say I want to send 1,000 messages. I would be a huge proponent of using 500 and then 500, and then looking at that data and analyzing it in the future. So anything under 200, anything under 100, you're more likely to get something that's maybe not statistically significant. And that's really the key word there with A/B testing, is that concrete data, looking for that particular those results to give you something concrete that you can use moving forward. So if I was sending a test to 50 people, or I was sending a cadence to 50 people and I was only using 10, there's a really high likelihood that, the 50-50 split of 5 people apiece, that variance is so minimal that you can't get a concrete resolution from it. Okay, we have a question from Kurt here. You're sending 3 different Gmail accounts, and one of those email addresses consistently bounces. Okay. Kurt, I'm actually familiar with this issue, but let me go ahead and follow up with you post-call, just to make sure I understand this. And Justin, I will also look for everybody who's interested in any data that we have that's relevant as to, Justin's question, which was the reason for the 2 to 3 day sending time period for your reengagement. Okay, we have about a minute left. Any last minute questions? Okay, Dan, your question about how do you schedule a continuation from one cadence to another, I'll follow up with you on that. We actually have a step-by-step guidance on how to do that. But the simple answer for that is you would select the subscribers that you want to send to, click the group action button that should appear on the right-hand side, and at the bottom you should see something that says start new cadence, and that would allow you to move them from one email, from one cadence that's finished to the new one. Okay, well, thank you everyone for your call, for your time on the webinar today. Again, we're thrilled to have you here. If you have any additional questions, don't hesitate to send them to customers@growbot.com. And we look forward to seeing you at our next advanced webinar. Thank you so much and have a great day.